Hey everybody, it's going Marcos Villegas, Fight Up TV, powered by Stagefront VIP, being joined with Eddie Hearn. We're here in San Diego. Canelo's next fight announced against John Ryder. Eddie, I know you guys have gotten a little bit of flack from this. What do you make of the criticism from the fans about this opponent?
I haven't really seen it, to be honest with you. I mean, John Ryder's the mandatory. I don't know what you want to do about it. You're the undisputed super middleweight champion. He's the interim world champion. You have to fight your mandatories. John Ryder has earned his shot. He beat Danny Jacobs. He beat Zach Parker. The fight gets called. You know, I did see Oscar or something say, you know, you've got to fight bigger fights. His last 3 fights have been Caleb Plant, Dmitry Bivol, and Gennady Golovkin. I mean, it's sometimes people actually refuse to acknowledge the facts. And this is a very good fight in his hometown, a smaller fight than normal, but bringing it a mandatory defence to his hometown. And he has to take these fights if he wants to maintain his belts.
Yeah, we spoke to Oscar yesterday, and he said that. He said that he feels with the opponents, Canelo's regressing a bit. Though you mentioned some info that he's the mandatory, but that's what he feels.
Billy Joe Saunders, unification. Caleb Plant, undisputed fight. Dmitry Bivol, who Oscar de la Hoya said, they're stupid taking that fight. That was such a tough fight. They're idiots. But all of a sudden, he's taking easy fights. I mean, Oscar will say whatever suits him. I don't think half the time he knows what he's saying, but he will never speak honestly about Canelo Alvarez. Because at the end of the day, Canelo Alvarez left Golden Boy. Okay, and he's never been able to accept that. But what he should do is respect a fighter that he knows deep down will fight anybody, and has continuously done that his whole career. So, you know, I think he needs to look at some of his own matchmaking, particularly Zurdo Ramirez this weekend, and particularly Jaime Munguia, which has been absolutely horrific and embarrassing.
You know, that's what some fans have brought up as well. Like, hey, well, what about Zurdo Munguia? Points that you're bringing up as well. I sense the passion coming from you on this.
You know why? Yeah. Because I don't like it. Because all it is, it's when people speak with emotion and anger, they ignore the facts. If you want to look at the resume of Canelo Alvarez and the run that he's had and start criticising him, you're a complete idiot. And, you know, I just feel like some people deserve respect. We live in a world where fighters don't take challenges. You can't come off the back of the Dmitry Bivol fight and say, that was a stupid bit of matchmaking. That was a much too tough a fight. Why is he taking fights like that? Because he wants challenges, because he wants to fight the best. And then all of a sudden he fights a mandatory, and in a good fight, by the way, and it's like, oh, this is, you know, he's not fighting anyone good. It's just gone Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, Dmitry Bivol and Gennady Golovkin. And now he has to fight a mandatory, and he's doing it in front of 50,000 in Guadalajara.
I think from the fan perspective, it's because they want to see him fight either Charlo or Benavidez so bad, and those are like the top guys at 168.
Charlo hasn't boxed for about 460 years. David Benavidez is fighting Caleb Plant, which is a great fight.
What do you got, by the way, on that?
You know, I think if Benavidez fights off emotion, I think he'll get beat. Because I think Plant is a very smart fighter. I think he's a great operator. But I favour Benavidez in that fight. But that's a great, you know, Benavidez beats Plant. That's a tremendous fight for Canelo Alvarez. This guy don't duck challenges. He wants to fight the best. What he wants is he wants to avenge his defeat to Dmitry Bivol. That's what's in his mind. But, you know, having worked with this guy, I've never seen anything like it. He don't give a fuck who you put in front of him. I'm telling you now, he does not give a fuck. He might want a good deal. He might want the right money for a big fight. Good on him. But this is a real fighter. A real fighter.
Some people have said, like, or it kind of comes across that he doesn't really have an interest in fighting David. You talking to him, does he have an, like, is that a fight that, like, he looks at it and be like, you know what, I want that?
Because it's a huge fight. Yeah. He also feels like if you don't force your mandatory position or whatever, you have to earn your fight in some way. You have to have a belt, you have to have a big win, and I think Sal acknowledges that victory over Caleb Plant would give him shouting rights to say, me. But at the moment, and again, it's never been Benavidez's fault. His resume is awful for a fighter of his ability. Awful. And he wanted the big fights, and they've delivered a great fight for him. So if he wins that fight, I think he should start calling out Canelo Alvarez.
Is that something you'll push for? Like, is that something that you look at and be like, you know what, this is a big fight?
Huge fight. I mean, look, my instructions, as I just said there, are I want Bivol. I want to avenge that defeat. After that, I believe he'll fight Benavidez. Look, at the end of the day, I'm just the guy who goes and makes things happen. I get instructions from my bosses, and they are Sal and Eddie. They will tell me, make this fight. You know, I went to them after the injury. and said, what do you want to do? He said, well, we'll fight a mandatory next, then we'll fight Bivol. That's our next 2 fights. Go and make it. It's my job.